Okay, there we go. So great to see everybody tonight. I am so excited to be on tonight. My name is Kelly Hoover, for those of you who don't know me. And really what you can expect to hear tonight is some inspiration, being uplifted, and really truly getting your mind ready for what is to come. This week that is to come, where it's full of things that are unknown. It's full of controllables and uncontrollables. And we're really going to talk tonight. I want you to start off your week really truly being able to be focused on what you can control, and that's what we're going to do. So if you do not have like a piece of paper, we're not going to use it right now, but it can be a scratch piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything formal. I want you to grab it and a pencil or anything. This will be for your eyes only. But I've been praying over really what to talk about tonight, because I wholeheartedly believe that mindset and staying positive is something that we all can do. But it does take practice, and it does take us constantly putting that perfection in, or that progress in, and not the perfection. And that's what we're really going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about not being perfect, how we set ourselves up. We don't want to be perfect, but there's tiny little things that we can do to make progress. And we get there, right? So the first thing I really want to pour into you about is talking about your energy, talking about where you put your energy, because the reality is our energy goes where our focus flows, right? So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by our energy goes where our focus flows? I want you to think about that. Write it down if you need to. Write it down on a sticky note. Our energy goes where your focus flows, because here's an example. You watch the news. I'm sure at some point during these last 3 or 4 months, you've turned the news on, right? And there's not a whole lot of positive things for us to really like put our energy into hearing, into watching. I know we need to watch it to maybe see what's going on, or you need to read it to keep up to date with like world things. But I want you to think about like, where does your energy go when your focus is watching the news? Right? Some of you maybe have created these what if scenarios in your head, created these what if, we were stricken with COVID? What if I was to lose my job? What if my kids don't go back to school? There's a million scenarios that we can all play out. It truly is. But there are so many controllables and uncontrollables, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want you to think about your energy and really like where it is going. Another example would be, let's say like the positivity. Like really, if you're really trying to have positivity in your life at this moment, what sort of positivity are you reading? What sort of positivity are you listening to? What are you starting your morning with, so that your energy, your focus all day long is flowing, constantly flowing to that, to where you're spending your energy? So I would love if you guys are able to like type in the chat. I want you to type in the chat and like say like, okay, yes, this is what, this is something you struggle with. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to give you some challenges. I'm going to challenge you to start for the next 5 days this week, starting with something that you want to flow toward. So if it's having a positive mindset, I want you to start your day in something that brings you a positive mindset. And you can certainly type it in the chat, whatever, to hold yourself accountable. If you have friends on here, they'll hold you accountable. But what is it for you? Because whatever you put your energy into is where your focus is going to go. And I'm sure those of you, if you've been around people, this is a big thing, right? You've heard all these, I don't even know who originally like said, like, surround yourself with the 5 people and that's who you're most like. You know that saying. I know I'm not saying it right, but whatever that saying is, it's so true. So who are those people? And that's the kind of energy that you are having around you. So I really want you to think about that. I want you to think about like positive, for example, like getting healthy. If you are working towards getting healthy, if you're working towards making certain changes, whether it's physical health, mental health, whatever that health is, if you're working towards that, what is the energy that you're putting into? Because there are so many people that start but don't finish. Right? How many times do we start something? I'm guilty of this 100%. I am so incredibly guilty of absolutely like starting things and not finishing, but we're not going to do that this week. I'm going to talk about that challenge in a minute. But yes, I love seeing you guys in the chat, like what you're going to be doing. How are you going to be starting your morning? And I want you to realize, like, you start your morning in whatever you want your energy to flow in through that day. And I want you to do like a self-check. Maybe you need to set a reminder on your phone, but self-check yourself and say, okay, if I'm trying to have a positive mindset, if I'm trying not to be stressed, whatever that is, self-check you. Like 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 7 p.m. How am I doing? How am I doing? And ask yourself that. Because that is truly like self-reflection and self-awareness will get you so far. And I want you to know that you're not going to be perfect at it. But if you can create progress, if you can start one day, you can start on Monday, that's one step. And then you add on Tuesday and just realize that it's going to add up, and eventually that energy, that focus will flow. All right, so I want you to take that piece of paper out. All right, and I want you to draw a T, okay? Just like a complete T on it. And I want you to write at the top, just like a T, nothing fancy, just a T. And I want you to write on one side, control and can't control. I'm going to give you about just like 30, 45 seconds. I just want you to jot down whatever comes to your mind. Don't overthink it. We're not sharing. I'm not going to call you out. This is for you. Like, I want you to write in the column what you can control in your life right now, and I want you to write what you can't control. Okay, I know that was a short period of time. You can do this exercise, honestly, at any point. It's a really great exercise. And I want you to sometimes, like, when you realize a lot of times the things that we cannot control, those fears, those things that create anxiety for us, those what if scenarios, those things we're pouring our focus into because we're putting energy there, we don't even realize it. You guys, those are things when you see them listed out on paper, you may be feeling right now. Well, you may be feeling a lot of different things. I don't want to put feelings into your mind, but whatever you're feeling, I want you to realize it. And I want you to really think about it and realize that there isn't anything that you can do about that list. All right. And then I want you to look at that list to the left. Hopefully you have some things in that column as well. And that is one thing that you can do something about. If you don't have the word mindset written down, go ahead and write it down in that control column. Because it really is something that you truly can control. Now, before we totally leave the can't control column, like hanging out there, because it's real. These are real things that you are really worried about. These are real things that were at the top of your mind tonight. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to take them into this week. I don't want you to take that burden into this upcoming next 7 days of your life. All right. I realize that that's a perfection sort of statement, but I want you to understand that like there isn't things that you can control there. And I love this thing. Some of you guys who know me well have heard me talk about a pity party. If you've ever listened to any of the podcasts or anything, if I've ever talked on, if you've ever listened to that, I know some of you I know from those. I talk about this pity party, and I don't even know where, y'all. I'm pretty confident I probably just made this out of blue thin air at some point in my life. But as I was really trying to progress in my own personal mindset, positivity journey in my life, I developed this thing called a pity party. And I'm telling you this because I want you to think about handling your can't controls in this way. And so what a pity party would look like when you've never done it before is you take that thing, if it happens to you Monday afternoon, if it's happening to you when we get off of this, whenever it happens to you, self-realizing, being self-aware, I have this non-controllable thing that is happening to me and it's making me feel anxious. And guess what? Set your timer. It sounds so elementary, but set your timer. A good place to start is like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Like it just depends on how emotional you are about it. Set your timer. Get your tears out. Feel your anxiousness. Let it all flow. Like go out and like yell, scream, run, whatever you need to do from an emotional standpoint. And then when that timer goes off, your pity party is over. Like your pity party is done. You are not allowed to go back to that feeling that you were feeling before for it. Okay? And then, you guys, after you do that, next week or the next time you have this feeling, make your timer 1 less minute, 2 minutes less, whatever that feeling happens. I promise you, you will get down when you do this. Again, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. You will get to the point where you're like 30 seconds, boom, pity party. I'm going to cry. I'm going to feel yucky. I'm going to have this emotion. These are real emotions. I'm really feeling this way because we certainly don't want to like pick up the rug and sweep our emotions under it. I am not saying that. But like truly, truly dealing with it, but realizing, remember it's in that not control column. There isn't a darn thing that you can do about it. Have your pity party and get over it. I know that sounds harsh. Some of you may want to throw tomatoes at me right now, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And when you can quit spending that energy on the things you cannot control, it allows you to move to the things that you can control. And that is where you start to see growth in your mind. That is where you start to see growth in your self-belief. You know, all those negative self-talk that happens upstairs? Listen, I know we all have it. It's okay. I have it too. We can all be vulnerable together. If you don't have a lot of it right now, you've had it in your past or it's coming in your future, but it's that self-doubt. It's that I'm not good enough. It's that comparing ourselves to someone who looks different or who has more or anything else like that. All that starts to diminish when you start to really work on that list of things that you can control. So closing that can't control, taking it, having your pity party. And I am saying really, truly do it. You don't have to tell anybody, like if it embarrasses you, you don't have to tell anybody about it, but do it. Set your timer and do it. Because guess what? Those are real emotions and we want to have it, but we don't. What happens if you don't have a pity party, a timed pity party, is it carries through your day. How many times, and you can just nod your head, how many times have you had somebody say something to you, something happen with your family or at your job or someone on social media, or you told yourself a negative thought and it ruined your day? I mean, I can't even count how many times that's happened to me. And it will continue to happen to you if you don't learn to deal with the emotion and let the emotion go, because you can't control it. So now we're going to like move on to that list and that T chart, that list of the things that you can control. And what do? How do you become progressive about this stuff without thinking I need to be perfect? So I want you to think, I love this analogy. I don't even know who said it, but I heard it on a podcast recently. And I'll give you guys a little tip of like, as you're like really truly working on like your own mindset, anytime that you can listen to positive podcasts, YouTubes, Audibles, anything that you can listen to, do it. Like in the shower, getting ready, you know, instead of music in your car, walking, like anytime you can fill your mind with these positive things, do it. I know I listen to it every single morning while I'm getting ready, while I'm like, you know, taking a shower. That is like my time to make sure I'm getting it. I'm getting all the positive things. And I heard this, I don't even know, I wish I would have remembered who I heard it from. but I loved it. I loved the analogy of an airplane because truly we are built like an airplane. You're like, what do you mean by that? We're built like an airplane. We're meant to move forward and not in reverse. Think about that. You are meant to go forward. You are not meant to live in the past. You're not meant to beat yourself up over mistakes or things that maybe you didn't perfect. You're not meant for that. You're meant to see out of the big giant windshield of that airplane. And all of the things that you can control are right there in front of you. And you are truly meant to move forward. And maybe you're not tackling all of those things that are in your control at one time, but maybe you choose that one thing. You say, I'm going to create how I can be better at that one thing. And guess what? I may not ever be perfect, but I'm going to have a damn good story to tell about it. And here's what I want you to know too. Your story matters. You matter. Your story matters to other people. Your story matters to you. You are the most valuable asset. You are the most valuable investment that you will ever have in your life. And sometimes you may not feel that way. Sometimes when you have those things that you're pity partying about, it may come in and you may feel weak and you may feel not confident or you're not measuring up. Trust me, I am the hardest person on myself. If you are like that, you understand. Like I have to tell myself that all the time. I am a perfectionist, which is why I focus on progress. But your story matters. Yes, Jenna, your story matters. And sometimes you all, we show up, we see, you know, most of us are connected either personally or through social media. And here's the thing, you show up on a platform. You show up on there where people do put their good forward. And I will tell you, people do show up and they are vulnerable and they do. But most of the time, you guys, when you read people's things and you show up, you're in a way, you're like, well, I'm not like her. I'm not that good. She has this. What about this? And the thing is who gives a crap? Because your story is more important than you give yourself credit for. So you have to focus on being on that airplane. You have to focus on moving forward. You have to focus on the story. You driving that airplane is so important. And part of that story is tackling those things you can control and becoming progressively better at them. Whatever it is. If it's a relationship within your home, if it's your health, if it's your mindset, if it's your job, if it's your relationship with your parents, whatever it is, if it's your own self-doubt, your own like fear. I know for me personally, fear of failure is something I deal with every week of my life. It may not be a daily thing, but every week of my life. I have always dealt with that. And I'm realizing, who knows if I'll ever truly get over failing, like fearing the failure. I fail all the time. I fail every day, but I do have a fear of it. And it's something I'm aware of. And it's something that I work really hard on, but it's there. It is absolutely there. So I want you to know your story matters. Your story matters. And your story's not over. It is being created. And it is in that. Anytime you feel like giving yourself a hard time or you feel like that, I want you to sit in that airplane and think about going forward. And all those things in the past, those non-controllables, they don't matter. What matters is you today. What matters is what you do this week. What matters is who you inspire, who you help, the conversations, and everything that happens to you this week. So maybe on your calendar, you draw a little airplane. I can't draw an airplane. Maybe you get a sticker. I don't know. But draw something, an airplane, and go forward and think of that analogy. I don't ever want any of you all to ever think that your story doesn't matter, because it does. You are important. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with tonight is I really, truly want you to think about the world being full of starters and not very many finishers. I was talking to my friend, Michelle, and I was telling her about tonight. And I was like, you know what? I was praying over what to share tonight. And the sermon this morning really like honed in on it. And that's what our pastor said this morning. He was talking about being a starter. There's so many starters and so few finishers. So your last challenge for this week is to start what you said you were going to start at the beginning. A lot of you wrote it in the comments. Whatever you said you were going to start. All right, finishing it. Finishing it. And that could mean, you guys, waking up. I saw people say waking up in the morning. Maybe it is having, positive self-talk. Maybe it's going to bed at a certain time. Maybe it's having a good evening routine. Whatever it is, whatever you are starting this week, I don't want it to be hard, but I don't want it to be easy. I want it to challenge you that where you have to mentally think about it. But remember, you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to progress. And progression means making the commitment to do it each day. Because I promise you, you do that one day. You do it 2 days. The third day it becomes a little easier. The next day it becomes a little easier. And so whatever that is, whatever it is, do it. Commit to starting it. And the finish line is 1 week. The finish line is you committing to this one thing that you can control. And look forward. I love it now. Look forward and go forward with your own journey. So I hope that you all took something away that inspired you. I hope that you will approach this week with something truly like one small little detail. Now, how do you apply this? Like, how do you walk away and you apply it? We're going to hop off. I know you're in the midst of life. You're in the midst of prepping for the week. But I want you to really like take 60 seconds and jot it down, what it is that you're going to work on progress to doing, who's going to hold you accountable. Maybe it's someone in your house, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's a team member, whatever it is. And it's your job to send them, a progress report. All right, and I really want you to think about, Tony, I'm so glad you love the airplanes. And that is the thing, you guys, think about going forward. And every time that you have that column that you can't control, really, really, truly think about having that little pity party and getting over it. I promise you it's a great exercise and it really, really will work. It also works for kids. Those of you who have children, a lot of like when kids are younger, timeout, if y'all did the timeout thing, you set the timer, all of those sort of things. I think Super Nanny did that. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but it was when my kids were little. But now, like, it is a thing. Like, it can help your child. It can help your child. It can help you. So I hope you all have a blessed week. If this was something that you enjoyed, every single Sunday night, we're going to be doing this. Someone different will be sharing. So come back, invite a friend, and we hope that we've done just a little bit to help you set up this week. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Good night.